What is going on, community? It is TJ, aka Flash by Night, and I am here for the re-up. Here to show you some new comic book day books. A little late, but also here to show you a couple of pieces of mail I got. And yeah, that's what we are going to do today. But before I start, I want to do some housekeeping. Um, First things first, I am trying to do some professional things. I'll put it like that. And life may get a little busy and a little shaky for me. So if you don't see me as often as usual, 2 or 3 times a week for the next month or so, don't worry, nothing's wrong. In fact, if you don't see much of me, things are probably going really right. And so I may slow down for a little bit for the next month or two, but all is well. Nothing's going wrong. I just wanted to kind of get that out there that I may slow down a little bit, but I appreciate you sticking with me. Second bit of housekeeping, I have passed 200 subscribers. I woke up this morning and found out that Dank Comix, if you aren't subscribed to him or don't know him, check out Dank Comix. Great guy, great channel. But he gave me a shout out, and basically, some of his subscribers came my way and uh, uh, gave me a big surprise this morning. I was kind of speechless, and so I appreciate that very much. And yeah, so that's what we're doing. We're growing a little bit. As Gary B would say, we are growing together, which is all good. But now that all that is out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and get to the books I picked up. I picked up a few for New Comic Book Day, and I got a few in the mail, and so we're going to get started. First book up we have is Nocterra, issue number 4 from Image. If you have not been reading Nocterra, we're 4 issues in. I would get on it if I were you. Really, really good book. Really, really good read. Basically about a world that's gone dark. And the dark is not only your plain, ordinary dark, but it's turning animals and people into these creatures called shades. And in this book, we found out that the problem has really, really, really hit close to home for Valerie, who is our driver and our main character, but also for our villain, the villain we've met so far, Blacktop Bill. We're learning a little bit more about him, and I think, judging from this issue, that the world is going to get a little bit bigger. Not too far from here. Like I like the story they've been telling, but I feel like from this issue that the story that they've been telling is only a small part of what's to come. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what we get from Nocterra in the future. Next book I picked up from AWA, it is Moss number 1. And this is the B cover. So Moss basically is the story of a woman who has some sort of superpower in her. But once she fully unlocks this superpower, she's got like 6 months to live. I haven't read this yet, but I really want to get on it. If I'm not mistaken, AWA is building a universe springing out of the Resistance book they put out a couple of years ago, and I believe the next Resistance story is ongoing now. But they are springing a universe, or spinning a universe out of that book, and this as well as Erratic, which if you did not pick up Erratic, you can pick that up. I think the trade's like $9 or $10. And it's like a five issue story. It's really good. Young kid had powers basically for 10 minutes at a time, and then can use them for another 24 hours. It was pretty fun. But I think this is also in that universe, and so I'm excited to check this out. Next book I have is DC's Nice House on the Lake. If you are watching me, you are probably familiar with the name James Tynion, and this is a James Tynion book that DC is basically letting him write. So it's a black label book, and so it's kind of more adult, maybe a little bit darker. I actually don't know a whole lot about this book. I feel like I've heard like 3 different synopsis. Y'all help me out with my English. But I feel like I've heard 3 or 4 different versions of a synopsis for this book. So I'm going to check this out, but I've heard nothing but good things about this book, and of course about James Tynion. Next book I picked up, Heroes Reborn, issue number 5, from Marvel. The Heroes Reborn story is basically a story where the world basically wakes up one day and the Avengers never existed, and the Squadron Supreme, who is kind of Marvel's play on the Justice League, but their violence is kind of ratcheted up to 10, and their likability is kind of driven down to 1 or 2 on purpose. But the Squadron Supreme is Earth's mightiest heroes, and there's a whole topsy-turvy world. Things are different. The books themselves are kind of written in 2 parts. So you get a main story, which is the story of a single squadron member. This one being the story of, or a story about Nighthawk. Excuse me. And then you get a backup story, which is kind of Blade, who is the only person who remembers the world how it was. Blade kind of going together to try and reassemble the Avengers that he remembers and hopefully bring the world back to what it is. What's really interesting about these books are that each one of the squadron members and their solo stories kind of get a hint or feel or hear something that tells them the world is not what they think it is. Also, by the time we get to issue number 5, we find out who the culprit is and why the world is how it is. If you've been reading the Avengers book, you probably can guess who the culprit is. But we find out by issue number 4 and number 5 that the squadron also knows about who this person is, who this figure is that's changed the world. Even though they don't know that he or she, I'll leave it open, they don't know that this figure has done what they've done, but they know this figure exists and he's accepted in this new world. In the backup story, you've got Blade basically finding the Ronin of this universe and trying to bring him in to the newly collected Avengers that he's gathering. So yeah, this is not a bad book. I think I liked the Hyperion version still best out of all of the 4 solo books. I'm really looking forward to the next book, which should be about Power Princess and should take us to Asgard and the villain that she should be facing is really interesting to me. So I'm ready to read that and see how this story progresses. I think it's 7 parts, and so by the next book, they should be about ramped up and have the players in place to try and turn things around. And then 7 may be an all-out war. We'll have to see. Speaking of Nighthawk, both in the Heroes Reborn proper book and in this American Nights, we kind of find out that Nighthawk knows Luke Cage, who is the commissioner of police in Washington, D.C. Because Nighthawk, in his day job, is a congressman, and yeah, it's a whole thing. He's kind of the Batman stand-in, and so he disappears to do his Batman thing. He has life model decoys. That's the word. He has life model decoys to kind of do his daytime thing when he needs to. But in this book, we follow the relationship between Nighthawk and Luke Cage, and also the Saint, who is this vigilante that's running wild in DC, who is hunting down villains when the squadron and Luke Cage and the police want to handle this stuff themselves and don't want vigilantes on the street. We see a couple of more, actually a few more street level characters, and you see their new roles in this world. And again, you see more of our main antagonist. He or she will be out in the forefront of this story, and you get to see how he or she has influenced the world. Yeah, and so this is really interesting. I think I like this book actually better than the Heroes Reborn issue number 5, but both of them kept my attention. So yeah, we'll see this. I didn't pick up the Marvel Double Action, but I believe the Marvel Double Action also has strong ties to Nighthawk and Heroes Reborn number 5. And so if you snag all 3 of those books, I think you get a well-rounded look at this version of Nighthawk. But yeah, so American Nights number 1. I kind of picked it up for Luke Cage, and it was a pretty fun story. The last book I picked up for New Comic Book Day, I have not read yet, but I am anxious to see if we get a new Iron Fist in Iron Fist. What is it? Heart of the Dragon issue number 6. I am hoping to see that Okoye somehow becomes an Iron Fist. Not the Iron Fist. I don't want to replace Danny Rand or anything. But, if Okoye gets to touch the heart of the dragon, or however she's going to get or could get powers, that's what the cover is telling me. The cover could be lying, and covers of comic books lie all the time. So it could be lying, but the cover is telling me that she may become an Iron Fist. And so I need to get into this and see what's happening. I've only read issue 1, and then I started picking up other issues because I anticipated this book coming out. So I may take time to read through the first 5 first and then get in here. But if I take too long, I may not be able to find an extra copy if this does come to fruition. So we'll see how that goes. And that was my New Comic Book Day haul. Not huge. I usually don't have huge New Comic Book Day hauls. I usually call my personal one-man gang Team Small Haul. That's kind of how I roll. But I do have some mail. I've got 2 books from Peter Parker Comics with an X. Another YouTube personality, and he has sales on this channel and everything. Cool dude, funny guy. But he sold me 2 books. One I think I probably paid about the right amount. The other one, it may as well have been free. So first book I have from Peter Parker Comics, and this is a run that I do not read, and I think everybody who reads comics everybody who reads Marvel comics is into this book, but I have not dug into it yet. And this is Daredevil issue number 1 from Chip Zdarsky. Of course, it's the first appearance of Cold North. And there is I want to say a flaw somewhere along here. It's not really, there may be a chip right there. But anyway, he basically let this go for $1. And no one else wanted to pick it up. And so I grabbed it for $1. And yeah, can't complain. It was $1. And the second book I have from that sale is Black Panther number 1. But we have the Submariner variant. I'm not sure who did the variant, who did this cover, but you've got Submariner on the front of this cover. Pretty cool book. I've got to tell you, I have a bone to pick with some of the community. Not a strong bone to pick, but you hear the community kind of voice their pleasure or displeasure with certain things. If they don't like something about a comic, if they don't like something about a character, the community is not quiet about it. They will let you know what they like or what they dislike. So my question, especially for the elder statesmen, for the long-standing community members, for the people that have been reading comics for decades, you telling me you let this man who basically rules the sea, run around with wings on his feet for decades. These winged feet are older than I am. Y'all have just let this happen. Why have y'all let this man have wings on his feet for this long? Either way, that's my small bone to pick, nothing serious. I just thought it hilarious that he has wings for feet and wings on his feet, and no one ever says anything. And I'm like, why does he have wings when he's in the ocean? But that's my thing. That's it. Yeah, so I got this from Peter Parker Comics, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Both of them came in Mylars. Both books are, well, this one is super clean. Like I said, the other one has a small chip somewhere that's barely visible. I stared at it for a little while. But he says that there's a small chip, there's a flaw somewhere. And I think I may have seen it, but it's nothing big and it's nothing that I would turn down for $1. So those were my 2 books from Peter Parker Comics. My last 3 books came from the Comic Mint. And I say, I've said for a while, I'm not really into exclusive variants, and I'm not into, paying that much for variants, not, much above cover price for variants. But I have found myself going against that lately, and I have to slow my roll. I have to rein myself back in. But before I rein myself back in, I got a few books. First book was actually free with my purchase, and I was gonna buy it, but then I noticed I was gonna get it for free with my purchase. But because people kind of got fed up with it, because people were like, we don't want it anymore, and I am a against the grain type of person, I snagged this second print of the Gleason cover for the Carnage Red, White, and Blood. I've got the first print. I probably put those up in the background before my next video. Yeah, so I got this, and I was going to purchase it basically because people don't like it. I don't know. Am I a confrontational buyer? I don't know. Is that a smart move? Probably not, but it's a thing I do, and this cover is kind of nice. The next book I got from the Comic Mint is part of a package, and that is the 1 in 25 variant for Miles Morales Spider-Man issue number 25. The more and more I look at this cover, it's not as bad as I thought. Like, I picked it up because it was a 1 in 25, and I thought that I was getting a pretty good deal on it. At least in my mind, it's less than ratio. But I started to look at it, and I'm like, I don't know if I really like this cover. But in real life, I think it looks a little bit better than it does on screen. And yeah, so I have this thing with Miles Morales, Spider-Man, issue number 25. And it's something that just popped into my head recently. And that's that I'm not a heavy specker at all. I listen to other people's spec. I read what I can and read between the lines where I can. But in this case, I am expecting, see what I did there? I'm expecting one of the clones in the Miles Morales clone saga to stick around, a la Ben Riley. That's his name, Ben Riley? Yeah, kind of like Ben Riley, I'm expecting one of these clones to stick around and be his own person, be his own man by the end of this story. And if that's the case, then number 25 should prove to be fruitful in the future. And so I'm looking out for probably more A covers of 25. But yeah, so I'm thinking 25 may be a good get to have in the near future. And with my final book, and the reason I bought the package that came with the 1 of 25, I have Miles Morales, Spider-Man issue number 25, the Ultimate Fallout 4 variant. I missed the first and second versions of this, which one was a virgin, but they turned around a little bit later after everybody made their purchases, and they offered this up, which kind of has the Ultimate Fallout 4 type banner on the top. And I think, in my case, I think this is a better book than the other two that were released before it. As I said, I believe, where's this guy here? This guy here, his name is Selim. It's one of those. I've got to go back and look and see if I can find the pronunciation. But I believe this guy here is probably going to stick around, even though these two guys are also funny little clones. Especially this guy. He doesn't speak much English. I think the only word he knows is like glurp. But he's kind of not necessarily a shapeshifter, but kind of a blob, Clayface type character. Yeah, but like I said, I think one of these guys is gonna stick around way past the Clone Saga, and so I am scooping up and keeping issues number 25s. And this, I think, was a great get. So that was it. That was everything. That was my new comic book day haul and my mail for this past week. I want to thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you saw something you liked. As I said earlier, I'm going to be in and out and kind of sporadic for the next couple of months, trying to reach some professional goals here and there. And so, if you can hang with me and kind of be patient, we'll be back on the roll pretty soon. But I enjoyed myself. I hope you did too. If you enjoyed yourself, go ahead, hit the like button. And if you want to keep seeing content from me, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, do all the good YouTube things. And as always, comments are open for you to leave comments. If I missed anything, If you really think I need to go back and pick something up, if you just want to say hi, you just want to leave a ray of sunshine in the comments, go ahead and do that. Do all that good stuff. It is always welcomed and always encouraged. But as I say at the end of every one of these, love yourself, love others, and I, hopefully, will be back in a flash.